Hi, this is Andy Roszak. I'm the executive director here at the Institute for Childhood Preparedness, and I just wanted to talk about staffing for a quick minute. Each year we release, in conjunction with our friends over at Hi Mama, a childhood benchmark report. And I'm not sure if you've got to take a look at this year's report, but boy, oh boy, does it have some interesting findings. One of the most interesting findings, I think, is that during COVID, the early childhood sector lost 1/3 of our workforce. 1/3 of our teachers gone. Now, sadly, as you and I both know, everybody's struggling with staff, and we haven't regained that third of staff that we have lost during the pandemic. So this brings a lot of challenges, right? It brings a challenge just to open our programs every day. It brings a challenge to meet ratios and other licensing requirements. And I know it's stressful and it is a burden. What I wanted to remind you about today is please don't overlook emergency preparedness when it comes to our substitutes, our part-time teachers, and especially our new hires. And I know this can easily get lost because we're so busy trying to recruit and retain qualified and talented staff. But I wanted to just share a story about Sandy Hook and show you what happens when staff are not properly trained. So Sandy Hook, as you may recall, was a horrific mass shooting. We had 20 children that were killed in the Sandy Hook shooting. Unfortunately, the classroom where most of the death occurred was a classroom that was being taught by a substitute teacher. Her name was Roszak, and she was not even supposed to teach that day, but shortly before school opened, the regular teacher called out, and Lauren was assigned to work in that classroom. Now, as you can imagine, after this incident, there was a race to the courthouse, and many parents filed lawsuits against the school. Many of them alleged that the school didn't properly train or equip their staff to handle this type of an emergency. And a few of these court cases actually pointed specifically to Miss Lauren and her perceived lack of training. In fact, one of the court filings actually said, and I'll quote here, substitute teacher Lauren Roszak had neither a key to lock the door nor any knowledge of the safety and security protocols rehearsed at Sandy Hook Elementary School in case an intruder or other dangerous individual gained access to the school. Sadly, out of that classroom, only one student survived. Both Miss Lauren and her teacher's aide were both killed in the attack. At the time, then school superintendent Janet Robinson and at least 2 teachers testified that each classroom had an emergency kit that included a key that could be used to lock the door. However, upon review of the evidence that was seized by the state police that day at the school, they searched the emergency kit and they did not find a key. So friends, this really serves as a reminder for a couple of things, right? The big lesson here, I think, is that we need to make sure that we're training our staff, whether they be part-time, whether they be new hires, whether they be substitutes, on what to do during an emergency or a disaster. We also need to make sure all of our staff know how to lock and secure doors. And we also need to make sure all the equipment is present and can actually function in good working order. This can be everything from locks to evacuation windows to gates. All of this kind of stuff we need to make sure that we're checking out on a daily basis. I know this is a rough story. I know it's a sad story, but I'm hoping I can pull at your heartstrings a little bit and spur some action. Because it's a tragedy that this occurred once. It would be an even bigger tragedy if this occurred again. So please commit that you're going to take a little bit of time, work with your new staff, work with your substitutes, and make sure that they get up to speed on all of your emergency procedures and protocols. For the Institute for Childhood Preparedness, this is Andy Roszak saying, stay safe out there.